Hey everyone! So if you're gearing up for your ISTQB exam, you already know that testing is way more than just, finding bugs. It's really about leading the entire quality effort. And that, right there, is where test management comes in. So today, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know to master it.
So let me ask you this. What really separates a good tester from a truly great test leader? I mean, it's not just about finding more defects, right? The real answer is mastering test management. This is all about making that leap from simply executing tests to actually planning, coordinating, and controlling the entire test effort from beginning to end. Let's dig into what that actually looks like. We're going to tackle this in 4 key parts. First, we'll talk about who is actually managing the test. Then, we'll dive deep into the test plan. Think of it as your blueprint for success. After that, we'll cover monitoring and control, which is all about keeping things on track. And we'll wrap up with how to manage your key test assets. Sound good? Let's get started.
Okay, first up, who's running the show here? It is absolutely crucial to understand the different responsibilities on a test team, and not just so everyone can work together smoothly, but because this is a core concept you're definitely going to see on your exam.
The easiest way to think about it is like this. The test manager is the strategist, right? They're focused on the big picture, the overall plan, the resources, the schedule. Meanwhile, the tester is the tactical expert. They're deep in the details, designing test cases, executing them, and of course, finding those defects. For the ISTQB exam, you have to know this division of responsibility. A successful project needs both of these roles working in perfect harmony.
Now let's talk about a really powerful concept, independent testing. The ISTQB syllabus puts a lot of weight on this. The basic idea is super simple. The person testing the software should not be the same person who built it. And why is that? Well, it's to avoid something we call author bias. I mean, it's only natural. Developers expect their code to work, which can make it a lot harder for them to spot their own mistakes.
This analogy just illustrates the point perfectly. When you write something, your brain kind of auto-corrects errors as you read, because it knows what you meant to say. You see the intention, not the mistake. An independent tester is like a good editor with a fresh pair of eyes. They aren't biased by knowing the original intent, which means they're way more likely to catch the issues that the author just naturally missed.
Okay, so now we know who does what. But how does anybody know what they're supposed to be doing? Well, that brings us right to our next section, the test plan. I want you to think of this as the master blueprint, the single map that guides every testing activity from the very start to the very end.
You know, a common mistake is thinking the test plan is just a schedule, but it is so much more than that. As you can see, it's the master document that really defines the what, the why, the how, the who, and the when of your entire testing effort. Getting this document right up front is so important because it prevents confusion and it gets the entire team aligned on the same goals.
Now, inside that plan, 2 of the most critical things you'll define are entry and exit criteria. For your exam, please remember this. Entry criteria are your definition of ready. They are the green light. For instance, you might say, the test environment must be available, or all new code has to have passed its unit tests. You simply don't start testing until these are met. On the flip side, exit criteria are your definition of done. This is your finish line. This could be something like 95% of all test cases have been executed, or there are no outstanding high-severity defects. This is how you know for sure when you are truly finished.
So, you've got your plan. Awesome. But a plan is pretty useless if you don't actually follow it, right? And that brings us to monitoring and control. This is the active, hands-on part of test management. It's steering the ship, checking your progress against the plan, and making course corrections when you need to. And your number 1 tool for this? Reporting. This table breaks down the 2 key reports you'll be using. The main difference to lock in for your exam is the audience and the timing. Progress reports are frequent, they're tactical, and they're for the internal team, what's happening right now. Summary reports, on the other hand, are strategic. They come at the end of a phase, and they're for management and stakeholders. They answer that big final question. Based on our testing, are we confident enough to release this thing?
All right, for our final section, we're going to look at the things you manage. See, good test management isn't just about people and schedules. It's about controlling the work products, the testware, the environment, all the information you produce. We call these your test assets.
And the discipline for managing all of these assets? It's called configuration management, or CM. Its whole purpose is to maintain integrity.
What does that mean? It means ensuring every single item, the code being tested, the test cases, the requirements docs, is versioned, it's tracked, and that you can trace the relationships between them. It's basically the system that prevents total chaos.
So why is this so critical? Well, just imagine your project. You've got requirements, code, and test cases, and they're all changing constantly. Without CM, you'd have no earthly idea if your test case version 2 was run against code version 1.1 or maybe it was 1.2. Your results would be completely meaningless. CM provides that vital link, that traceability, making sure everything is versioned and connected. It's your guarantee that you're testing the right thing, the right way, every single time.
And maybe the most important asset you'll manage under all this is the defect report itself. Think about it. A defect that isn't documented properly and tracked through its life cycle might as well not have been found at all. So, let's talk about how to get this right.
A really high-quality defect report needs to be clear, concise, and most of all, actionable. It's not a complaint, it's a tool for developers. And here are the essential parts. You need a unique ID and a clear title. A summary of the problem and precise, repeatable steps. A clear statement of what you expected versus what actually happened. An assessment of severity, so the impact of the bug, and priority, the urgency to fix it. And finally, always include evidence like screenshots, logs, or test data.
So, as we wrap things up here, let's just circle back to the most important point. Great test management isn't just one thing. It's not just writing a plan or filing a bug. It is the integrated discipline of planning what you're going to do, controlling the process while it's happening, and tracking every single asset and piece of information to ultimately build confidence in the quality of the product.
And that brings me to a final question for you. I want you to imagine you just joined a project with zero test management. I'm talking total chaos. Based on everything we've just covered, what is the single most important thing you would introduce first to start bringing some order to that chaos? Now, there's no single right answer here, but it's a great way to think about how you'd actually apply these principles in the real world. Thanks for tuning in.